Now, I think it's pretty safe to say that the future of the Star Wars universe seems to be quite expansive, not just with their books, novels, comics, and video games, but also, let's not forget about the new Star Wars TV shows, the new Star Wars movies that are currently in the works, as well as a handful of other projects. Now, we already know that George, John, and Dave are working together as a team to really turning things around for the Star Wars franchise, to really give the fandom a light at the end of the tunnel in order to look forward to other shows, movies, and more. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new Star Wars universe is that Bob Chapek, the Disney CEO, has been working, a lot behind the scenes and really trying to get things back on track with the franchise. And given that Kathleen Kennedy has little to no creative power anymore, thankfully, she's only working on the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew, and that's it, period, the end. And everything else moving forward is looking brighter and brighter. Now, of course, there are elements that Kathleen Kennedy had a hand on in the Star Wars Andor show, which is why I remain a little bit skeptical on the show. And given that it was already greenlit for 24 episodes, divided up into 2 seasons, is a big deal. Now, moving forward from all of this, what's even all the more intriguing has a lot to do with what Bob Chapek recently had to say about George Lucas and Lucasfilm as a company and what they have planned for the future of the Star Wars franchise. Now, given that everything related to the series is going to focus on a lot of familiar faces, such as Luke, Ahsoka, Anakin, Vader, Kenobi, and others, we also have a lot of new characters coming into the equation. However, of course, with that being said, with George Lucas currently helping both John and Dave with the direction for the new Star Wars universe, many major stories, of course, from Star Wars Legends are about to be made canon. However, just recently, Disney CEO Bob Chapek made an exciting announcement for George Lucas related to the Star Wars universe and the future of the brand. Now, Chapek went on to state the following to the community. It has always been in our interest to include George again in Star Wars since I came into the picture. I always wanted to recapture that same feeling that audiences felt decades ago, and we are going to be making that possible by involving George in the creative process with over 10 Star Wars projects that both John and Dave are actively working on right now for George to help with, many of which we'll be announcing at next year's Celebration event that is going to leave fans, which I hope at least, to be very happy and thrilled. Now, let me just stop right here before I get to the next segment. We already know that Bob Chapek is a guy that's allowing Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni to do exactly as they please. He's allowing them to do whatever they want to do behind the scenes, and that really does tell us a lot, because it just goes to show you that at the end of the day, both John and Dave are going to be taking a lot of the highlights from Legends, be it, of course, Dark Empire, Shadows of the Empire, Heir to the Empire. I mean, all those great stories are going to become a part of Star Wars, Ahsoka, and more. Now, one thing that Chapek was able to tell us is that he's going to be involved in over 10 new Star Wars projects in different ways. We already know that one of which is going to be Star Wars Underworld. We'll talk about that in just a second. And another one of which is going to be The Mandalorian Season 4, and how George is going to be heavily involved with the creative process of Luke Skywalker using this brand new technology provided by ILM. Now, the new technology by ILM is neither going to be de-aging or deepfake technology. It's going to be something completely unique and original, and it really makes you wonder, what in the world could that really be, right? Moving on. He goes on to say, we have some pretty big titles in the works right now that George will be a great help with. I also want to put it out there that we will also be using never-before-seen concepts that were created by George for his original trilogy movies and prequel trilogy ones that will be inserted and used in the future shows and projects that we are actively developing. Now, separate from what Chapek stated here, one of the big titles that George will be attached to is a show called Star Wars Underworld that will be treated as a direct sequel to Revenge of the Sith. Now, Lucas is set to act as a co-writer for that series that will focus on different avenues of Star Wars that have never before been seen in both canon and or Star Wars Legends. Now, before I get to the next exciting piece about all of this is that, in case you guys did not know, George Lucas is going to be heavily involved with both Jon and Dave Filoni on not just Mando 4 and Star Wars Underworld, which, by the way, that too will be getting announced at Celebration, so keep your eyes open for that. That basically was going to be George Lucas's first live-action Star Wars TV show before Jon Favreau got to The Mandalorian. And there was a lot to be done back in 2007 before Underworld got cancelled. Now, here we are. It's a very interesting time for the franchise because basically what Lucas is going to do, and what he is going to do, is that he is going to actually be running the show on a lot of different directions for these 10 Star Wars projects. That's basically what Bob Chapek is allowing Lucas to do starting in 2023. And a lot of it has to do with Ahsoka as well. A lot of it also is going to have to do with other shows connected to the Ahsoka series that's going to involve characters like Ezra Bridger and, of course, Grand Admiral Thrawn. Now, the thing about this, too, that I think a lot of fans need to be aware of is the fact that, in case you guys were unaware, Kathleen Kennedy is not going to be involved in any shape or form, anything past the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. The good thing about the Acolyte right now, and there is hope for it, is that George Lucas has some form of creative control over the 5 episodes, along with Jon Favreau, telling Leslie Headland what to do and what not to do. And that really does spell, a light at the end of the tunnel, perhaps, for the Acolyte series. And I've said this time and time again, that the Acolyte always needed better direction. Because the way that Leslie Headland and Kathleen Kennedy are going, it doesn't really seem to be going in the right path. So here we are, it's a very interesting time because given that George Lucas is going to be using a lot of his ideas to be thrown into the script of The Acolyte, a lot of abandoned ideas, by the way, from the prequel trilogy movies, and how other projects are going to be able to use a lot of unused material from the original Star Wars trilogy. It really just goes to show, the fans a lot that Bob Chapek is now really trying to create a legacy or a footprint for Star Wars that's going to be very positive instead of negative. He wants to make sure that he's going to be catering to the hardcore fans, to the Star Wars fandom that supported this for all these decades. That's really going to advance the franchise. And I think that at the end of the day, too, when we look at Favreau and Filoni, given that they will be utilizing brand new technologies by ILM in Mando 4 to really bring us a ultra-realistic version of Luke Skywalker that's not going to be deepfake or, de-aging technology, it really makes you wonder what other tricks do they have up their sleeve for Mando 4 and all these different Star Wars projects that are currently in the works. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys have to say about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.